Mixties presents the Popcast. Hey, bros and gals, my name is Brian, and that is Shane, and this is the Popcast, and today we are talking about Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, and this, my friends, is a spoiler review, so if you have not seen the movie, and you care about spoilers, you should save this and come back later. If you do not care about spoilers, or you do not plan to see the movie, then please continue watching. I know you will enjoy this show. Shane, take it away, bro.
Man, I got to tell you, I am totally excited to be doing this show now. Before, when we were talking about it, and this came out, I don't know what happened. I missed the trailers. I saw a couple of things on TV for it. But because it's a French comic book series that's pretty darn old, I just wasn't really aware of it. I didn't see any of the production stuff happening, and so it kind of snuck up on me. It was one of those movies that kind of snuck up on me. So went and saw the movie last night, and I'm ready to talk about it. I think it's pretty interesting.
So this movie, if you notice, I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt because it's basically Star Wars. And you're like, wait a minute, they ripped off a bunch of Star Wars concepts. But wait, get your tinfoil hat on, boys and girls, because that is not what happened. This comic book came out in the early 70s. And the writer of Empire Strikes Back admitted to taking some cues from the Valerian comic books. I mean, the comic books are about Luke Skywalker and Leia basically traversing the Empire and righting wrongs. In fact, I think it's actually called like the Empire or something like that. So there's a lot of cues that Star Wars actually took from this comic book series. We just have to get Star Wars first.
Including one of those was Han Solo being put into a
carbonite
block of carbonite.
Yes,
actually came from Valerian.
In preparation for this movie, I went and looked up some of the comic books. They're easier to track down than I feel like they should be. And yeah, there's a lot of similarities there. I mean, obviously the races are different, and the movie doesn't even use some of the races in the books and all that. But the concepts are the same, and it's fine. The guy who wrote Star Wars, I remember him saying something like, all good sci-fi is borrowed from other sci-fi and advanced, right? So that's okay. It's like the fictional version of science, right? Take this art form and make it better by expanding on it. And so I like it. But the people that are saying this is basically a Star Wars ripoff are actually backwards. It's the other way around.
Yeah, because even the ship that they're flying around in, he immediately reminded me of the Millennium Falcon.
Right.
So it was there were some elements there that were very interesting.
Well, that's what the ship looks like in the comic books, though. So
right. So maybe the Millennium Falcon did some borrowing.
Right. Now, if you're a gamer like moi and Shane, then you would have noticed that this movie also is very similar to a game franchise that we all enjoy called Mass Effect. I mean, in some ways Halo too, but mostly Mass Effect. Mass Effect is this game about a guy who travels the universe in a ship with a crew, and meets a bunch of cool aliens and basically does good things, right? I'm not gonna get any more of that. There's a lot more to it. Well, a lot of people look at this movie, I mean, that I talked to before the movie, and they're like, hey, this is like Halo, this is like Mass Effect the movie. It has very similarities. Like, the suits look the same, some of the races look the same, the whole idea of like this big space station out there, just like in Mass Effect, they have this big space station, and all these races living on there in harmony, and the Council of Humans, and has all the similarities. Remember, this came out in the 70s. If anybody borrowed anything from anybody, it's probably Mass Effect borrowing from Valerian. Again, it's okay. That made the movie more enjoyable for me to watch, knowing that I love Star Wars and that I love Mass Effect. I feel like I got more out of the movie because I liked those two franchises so much. Speaking of, let's just get right to it real quick. The movie I enjoyed, but it had its problems. Shane?
I got to tell you, a visually stunning piece. I mean, it's obvious that the guy who directed The Fifth Element made this movie. It's like The Fifth Element on steroids.
Yeah,
it's like I mean, it's crazy. I think The Fifth Element used something like I think 188 special graphic shots. This one used over 2,000.
Wow.
I mean, it was a stunning piece of. I mean, I got to give the director credit here. He's a French director, and you got to give him credit because Luc Besson, he took this piece. He's always made good movies. He also made Lucy, which was a good movie.
It was a good movie,
starring Scarlett Johansson. But he is visually stunning, and he took this to the next level. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm not sure there's another movie that is more visually stunning than this one. You can take Avatar and just flush it down the toilet. I mean, compared to this movie.
As far as visuals, yeah.
Visuals are concerned. I have a lot of problems with Dean DeHaan specifically as the anchor leading actor in this movie.
Oh yes.
You know, he's a great actor in his own right, and he's definitely considered one of the most desired actors of his generation. You know, but for being a 31-year-old guy, I mean, he looks like he's like 18, man. And it was just very hard. It reminded me of the brother on remember the movie Troy, the one who doesn't want to go out and fight the
wimp.
Fight Brett Pitt, right? He reminded me, even though he did very radical or awesome things, his look did not convey the confidence.
He's too delicate.
That a leading man should. Yeah, the leading man should just the bags under his eyes. I know this probably sounds really, really funny, but just the bags under his eyes were driving me crazy watching him. He just didn't have the charisma of a leading man.
Bro,
he's got the acting chops, but just not the charisma. I
totally agree. Both those characters look like they're like stoned teenagers. What's the deal with that?
Can I just go and say specifically, because he has actually acted with Richard Pattinson, and who did he date?
Oh, he dated her too. The Twilight chick?
Well, see, here's the problem. No, they just look alike. This is this whole baggy-eyed.
Yeah, like I'm tired.
Weird, like I'm tired look.
Just got out of like a 8-hour poem. One of those crazy poem things at the coffee shop, and I need to go home and like decompress, bro. And like, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I got bags under my eyes, folks, but I got 5 kids, so I got an excuse.
Yeah. So, I might look tired, but yeah, I'm in the same boat, right?
But it's weird. I just didn't, and I actually liked Cara Delevingne much better, than him in this movie. She was Enchantress, right, in the Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, not great. I
was surprised. This girl was familiar to me, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized she was Enchantress.
Same. And what's funny is, like, in Suicide Squad, if you go back and listen to the review we had for that, one of the problems I had with that movie was Enchantress. The other characters I didn't have so much of a problem with, but that character was sort of rushed and cheesy and too much. And I attributed some of that to the actress being, like, not very good. But clearly that wasn't the case, because she was fantastic in this movie. I liked her a lot.
Without her in this movie will completely fall apart.
Yeah, and the crazy part, she also has that look of, like, the stoned teenager. But here's the deal. You can have one, but both leading actors can't have that look. I feel like it's too much. And I'm going to blame it on the guy, too. I feel like that look is not a bad actor, just like his look is not right for like this leading, old tenured military man.
Yeah, he's a major. I mean, he's supposed to be, I think he acted appropriate to the role. I think his mannerisms and his acting was appropriate to the role. It's just I kept thinking, gosh, he doesn't look right. And I hate to say, when people go in for acting to try to fill roles, I did this myself, going out trying to act when I was younger. So there's a look that has to happen with a role sometimes, at least some get close to it. And I'm just really surprised that, I guess they grabbed onto Dane DeHaan and said, okay, we got this guy, we're going to go with it. But I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I would have much rather seen a Chris Hemsworth or a Chris Pratt. And people are going to think I say Chris Pratt all the time on the show because it does seem like I say that. But we needed somebody more Han Solo-esque.
You do have a crush on Chris Pratt, though.
I do. I can't help it.
Going back to your older acting days, bro, that wasn't
pretty sexy.
It was your problem that you went to try to audition for the movie Roots. Like, you really shouldn't have. You should have auditioned for a movie that's closer to your look.
I couldn't understand why I wasn't accepted. I mean, they were polite and they said, listen, this probably just isn't for you.
It's not for you.
I looked around and I'm like, oh, nobody does look like me. So, yeah.
Look,
I went and did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest after that and everything worked out fine. So.
There you go. I do think that Chris Pratt would have been better here. He's been overused a lot. He would have drawn, though, way more of an audience because, like, I was at the very first showing of this movie, and there were plenty of seats left, which worries me because this movie is worth the watch. The story is great. It's visually stunning. I wanted so much more of the first two acts. The third act,
right? I felt the same way.
Great like setup with Lucy, to a movie, right? Just like with Fifth Element, the third act falls apart a little bit, but the setup was fantastic.
Yeah. Right, wasn't it great? I love how they explained how it worked, the shaking of the hands and the bringing together. That was really an awesome setup.
I love that the city started with the International Space Station.
Isn't that cool?
That's so cool, man.
It started with our space station.
Our space station.
It started with ours in 1975, right.
Yeah, that is so awesome. That's not how the comic books were, but that's fine. That was so awesome. It started with our space station, then the International Space Station, just kept growing and growing. And then you see when they're going into the heart of the space station to find the aliens, you see like the China module, like it's still there. That was so awesome. I loved that setup. I loved all the different races. They were so. It was so fun seeing the tech. The big market scene was so great. I loved everything about this movie except for the casting of the main character, and the third act was rough. It was drawn out.
Oh yeah,
and a little.
I did not like the ending.
The ending wasn't great.
No.
I don't understand how they're gonna survive on this like 2005 space module in the middle of dead space, but that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be more movies. I think that you see enough success here. I think. I hope this director is not known for doing, multiple movies. I can only imagine the Herculean effort that went into making this movie. I mean, dude, they had a separate dimensional worlds that they had to combine. I mean, I got to tell you, when you guys, if you've seen this movie and you go see this movie, just having that ability to go back and forth, and you've got the desert, the desert empty open area, and then this major city, they're flipping back and forth. I am mind blown by what they accomplished here.
That was so good. The dimensional thing was amazing.
I really hope that when the remake of that's coming out, the old Harrison Ford movie, I can't remember. It's coming out here real soon.
Blade Runner. When that remake comes out, I really hope that they do some of this world building in that, because it's going to be. That's too bad. I can tell you why they're not going to, because they're going to try to keep it as close to the original as possible, and the original didn't have the budget for that. It was more of a bleak, dystopian future. And I understand that, and that's probably going to be why the movie doesn't do as well as it probably should, even though it's Harrison Ford and that other guy. Because you're right, if they had world building like that, this movie set up such a great franchise, and I'm afraid to say that I'm predicting now that it's not going to get a sequel, even though I want it to.
Yeah, it'll be too hard to make it.
There were, 14 people, including myself, in the first showing of this movie. The tomato score isn't fantastic. It should be. The critics are they're ripping this thing apart. This thing cost multiple hundreds of millions of dollars to make.
210 million.
And they spent another 60 million on advertising. They're all over Twitch, all over the internet. They're all on these super new generation type of advertising platforms. They've been on shows. They've had multiple YouTubers now, like big, huge, 5 to 10 million subscriber YouTubers have paid reviews and paid commentary and paid episodes on their channels about Valerian. They have spent a ton of money, not only making the movie, but getting the movie out there to a younger generation. But the problem is the older generation is ripping this thing apart.
Okay.
The reviewers that are on Rotten Tomatoes and whatnot, these are older guys. They're destroying this movie. They're not giving it the credit it deserves. This movie is good. The third act does fall apart. The main character is probably not the right cast. But even with those problems, I can watch this movie a second time and enjoy it. I enjoyed every second of the first 2 acts, and I wanted more. I want a sequel to this movie. This movie could be a whole new Star Wars franchise. But they're not. It's not going to get that opportunity, unfortunately.
No, it's just I think you're right. There's going to be people that are going to be calling for more. You got to think of movies that are this hard to make. Avatar 2 is just in production now. And think about how long ago that was.
That's
James
came out. Cameron, though.
I mean, it is, but so is Luke. I mean, Luc Besson. I mean, look, did we get a follow up to The Fifth Element? No,
you're never going to because of the rights between him and the other producer, Bruckheimer. And then also, speaking of that director, if you look at his movies, he doesn't do sequels, and it seems like he has a hard time with the third act, man. Lucy was a great movie with a great setup, with a great premise. I enjoyed the crap out of that movie until the third act, where it fell apart.
Oh, yeah.
Fifth Element, great movie, amazing setup, great world. I can watch Fifth Element all day, every day. I would love a universe set in Fifth Element. I would love Fifth Element and Valerian crossover.
Oh, wow.
How cool would that be? Because Fifth Element was primarily set in Earth and then on that ship.
Well, and the thing about the Fifth Element is the futuristic New York City that you had in the Fifth Element was actually visually inspired by the Circles of Power episode, which is volume 15 of the Valerian and Laureline comic series. So the Fifth Element was actually taken, at least visually, from this world, anyways. And so that would work.
One of the races in the Fifth Element is clearly seen as an Easter egg in the Valerian movie.
Yeah, there are 200 different alien species in this movie. 200.
Yeah. Custom species.
Come on. How much they started filming this in 2016. I mean, you want to talk about people putting in long hours to make a movie. I mean, you got to give the respect. I mean, I did not like the third act, but just the creation of the little world, the beach world. I'm having a word. Is it Mu? Is that the name of it? That planet that
Mule.
MUL. Those characters, the idea of the converter, brilliant idea where you drop a diamond in and it gives you hundreds of diamonds. The animal converts it into basically the same thing. I mean, who wouldn't want that? It's like a money tree, right. So pretty great concept. I mean, just visually, I mean, they had the nuances of language and the way that you got depth of character in a lot of these alien races that you didn't necessarily get from the main characters. I felt like it was too spun in a romance. There was a little too romantic stuff involved in that. It would have been nice to see the play of, I like you, you like me, but not, I want to marry you through half of it. That was kind of weird. So,
yeah, that part didn't bother me as much. I mean, there's a little bit of it there. Oh, I gotta say, I love the concept of the Rihanna character. That's a really cool idea. I feel like they wasted it, and I'm gonna tell you why. 3 reasons. They wasted it because they had Mirana play it.
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 2, they wasted it because they killed it off so quickly. Number
Right.
2. And number 3, very little backstory or history as to what this thing is. It's an illegal immigrant. It's not allowed anywhere near human settlements for obvious reasons. You know, it seems like there's a little bit of a virtual signaling thing there with that character. But I like the idea that it's like this like forbidden race because of what it can do. You know, but they didn't get into it, right? They didn't have time, and they had Rihanna play it. Now I understand why. She's a performer. Her performance was good when they introduced the character, but it seems like that's sort of also when the movie started to take a bad turn, which is similar to the third act. Was when they introduced the Rihanna character and she does the dance, and I'm like, that's cool. Then they actually give her speaking roles. All of her speaking roles are a little forced. And I'm bummed out that they wasted this character by A, killing it, and B, having it being played by Rihanna. When, what if it lived, and I felt nothing when this stupid thing died, by the way. When it lived, though, they could have developed it into a third crew member, you know, with them on the next movie or something, you know. It would have given them like a Chewie type thing to utilize. I don't know. They could have done so much more with it.
Yeah. So that's a little part of the problem. I felt like with the movie, I agree with you with Rihanna. I typically do not like Rihanna in general. I've never liked Rihanna. I don't know what it is about her that drives me crazy. But in this movie, I actually liked her performance. Yeah, I actually liked that she pulled it off. She's been around a long time. You know, she looked young in this movie. I don't know what maybe it's the digital stuff that they do to them.
Well, yeah.
But you know, but I gotta say
that she ded was good.
It was good performance, but they were missing things. They were missing a little bit of the sidekick thing here. They were missing a saged advisor. It felt like Herbie Hancock was going to be that guy. By the way, if you guys don't know who Herbie Hancock is, Herbie Hancock has a song called Rocket that came out way back in, I think it was the late 70s, early 80s. And it was kind of the lead off into rap music and you know, record rubbing.
He was their commander, right?
He was the commander in the in the movie. He's actually
no, not the commander that was bad. No, the other guy.
No, he's actually his character is actually the defense minister. He was the one with the glasses,
right?
The black
yeah,
glasses.
And I felt like they underused him so much.
He could have been the sage advisor that they needed.
Totally, man.
You know, they spent more time kind of thumbing at him, which I guess is popular now. You got to give some respect to Clive Owen, who played the commander.
Yeah, it bummed me out that he was the bad guy, though. I wish they would have. I think it's a bad casting. If they would have swapped the roles between Clive Owen and the other older guy, the general.
Yeah.
They should have had that. So the general has the look of a not so good guy, and Clive Owen has the look of a heroic military guy.
But Clive Owen also does play a bad guy. He's a bad guy cast.
He has, yeah. I don't know.
How about this? How about Ethan Hawke, bro? Ethan Hawke's in this movie. He's Jolly the pimp, right? He's the guy who's like, come on in here, come on in. He was Rihanna's pimp, basically.
That's right.
You know, Ethan Hawke, I mean, is he too old to play the leading guy? Why didn't he play the leading guy?
I don't know. He was great, though. I like that character.
He would have been great as Major Valerian.
Yeah.
So he actually stole the show when he was on there a little bit.
Oh, I love that scene with the pirate guy getting the jellyfish.
Oh, wasn't that great?
That was great, man. Wow.
I mean, that's the thing. There's so many little things in this movie, bro. There's so many little characters that you get to know. There's not enough time to learn about everybody.
Yeah, no, you're right. That race that he has to save his Lorelei, whatever her name is, from, right? That funny little one, the one that's trying to get her dressed. Oh my God, I was laughing out loud in the theater. That was really funny, man.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Oh, with the dresses, they kept putting it up, putting the dress up. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was hilarious. And then when she walks up there and you figured out that he's gonna eat the top of her head. Oh, yeah. That was so well done. And that character That alien character with the crazy eyes and like the big smile, dude. Every time she interacted with that thing, I just kept would get funnier and funnier to me. It was really funny.
Yeah, that was a good part. That was really entertaining.
Yeah, super entertaining.
I mean, you knew they were going to eat her, right? You knew when she was carrying the lemon.
Yeah,
he was going to eat her.
So when she walked up there with the lemon, I'm like, at first I was like, why is it just like she's delivering lemon while all these other things are delivering these trays? And I'm like, oh, it's the freaking hat. The hat.
Yeah.
Her head sticking out of the hat. I realized that, but it was really cool.
Yeah.
I loved this movie. Was really good. It deserves a sequel. It's not going to get one because the director's not into them. It's not going to have the audience. It's probably going to lose money. But I have an idea. I have an inkling that this movie is going to become a cult classic, like Dune. Fifth Element, Stargate. It's going to be a cult classic, and maybe maybe in 10 years they'll make a Valerian TV show, and it will start out on Showtime, and then move over to the Sci-Fi Channel, then to Fox, then back to the Sci-Fi Channel, and it will spawn a bunch of spin-offs like Stargate or something.
Yeah, that could be cool.
We'll get 15 years of it.
Rutger Hauer is in this movie. You only see him for a brief blip. He's the president of the World State Federation.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's Rutger Hauer. I mean, you realize Rutger Hauer has, like, I don't know, 167 acting credits. He's been in 167 productions. This guy is he played a blip. You don't even know he's in the movie.
You know what they should have done? I feel like they made a major marketing error. They put all their eggs into the newer generation basket. They had trailers playing on YouTube, on Twitch. They had YouTube channels and stars doing advertising for this movie. What if they did the classic TV route for us older fans? I mean, I watch all those things too, but maybe you don't, right?
Yeah.
What if they had like, those trailers where they show you the trailer, and at some point they start showing all the great actors that are in it, and they're like, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Like, I know that's sometimes a play, but letting us know that all these people are actually in it and showing us blips of their characters, especially for the older generation, they'll be like, that guy's great, that guy's great, that guy's great, that guy's great, right?
I gotta go see it.
Now I have to see it. I wasn't even interested, but there's all these amazing Oscar winners and award-winning actors in it. It's worth my time. Instead, they show you the pensive, stoned teenager on YouTube, and they're trying to get that audience. But I think that movie companies forget something. They forget that under 18s and early 20s don't really have the money to go.
They don't
watch these movies.
They don't buy tickets. You got to hit the people who buy the tickets. Or you can hit the kid audiences that are like, mommy, daddy, I got to go see that movie. And guess what? Teenagers aren't even talking to their parents.
Right.
So, honestly, you really needed to hit the parent version of this and say, wow, that looks, and they needed to compare it to Star Wars. They really needed to give it, I think somebody tried to do, this is the new Star Wars. But now people are going to be disappointed because they're not going to get a series of movies.
I agree. Yeah. The guys over at Film Theory, that guy, I love that channel, by the way. If I shouldn't advertise someone else's YouTube channel, but who cares? Someone's going to see it.
Oh, they're great.
There's a channel out there called The Film Theory, and they're fantastic. I mean, like, every video they upload, everyone I sometimes watch more than once. It's amazing. They're amazing. They put a lot of effort into all their content. And they did one where they compared Star Wars to Valerian, and they explained a lot of the similarities. You should watch that. But remember, that entire video was a paid Valerian video. Yeah. He makes it clear at the top of the video. He goes, this is paid for by the people at Valeria. Enjoy. And you're like, I'm watching a 15-minute commercial right now.
Yeah, that's good. Right? Yeah, that's a good point. The guerrilla marketing, man. That's where it's at.
Yeah, so I guess there wasn't as many spoilers as we thought we were going to make. We basically just talked about how great and how not great it was at the same time.
It's hard to spoil this movie because
there's so much.
There's so much there. I mean, I think it ends right. I think that they end up making it right. I think Valerian has to make a choice. I guess by the end, the journey for him through the movie is learning to trust somebody besides himself. He's supposed to be apparently a selfish character, a selfish guy, but an honorable person. I don't know if they went that deep to that. There was a lot of back and forth between the two actors, the two main actors, and in the end, he ends up making the right choice. So he ends up, he stopped. Let's put it this way: he stops disappointing her. I guess it's the real way.
Yeah.
He keeps asking the whole time, "You're the only one. You're the only one. I want you. I want to be with you." And the whole time she's kind of snubbing him, and then we get to see as the fans, that she really secretly is like wants him to be the man she wants him to be. So
right.
And I guess in the end, because he decides not to turn over the converter, he ends up becoming that man or something. That's why the third act was
independent thinker, right? An honorable man. I like that too. But we're left with some questions like, he's probably not going to have a career when they get back. How are they going to get back? Who knows? They're in an old 2005 space module in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Really feel like those guys with their advanced technology could have dropped them off a little closer to the space station. I'm just saying. Sort of uncool of them to leave them in the middle of dead space. I mean, after they're done making love and enjoying their time together, they're going to be there for weeks just being bored and hungry. So that's a thing.
It was a James Bond ending, bro. That's what they went for. They went for the James Bond ending.
Except for James Bond ends up on a beach somewhere, not in the middle of
which is where they were supposed to go, apparently. I don't know what he said. Because you notice they're inside the module. He's like, we're close to it or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe there's something we don't know.
It was a James Bond ending. You're right. So I guess it's okay. But, I don't see how he's going to have a job. I guess with James Bond, he always also pissed off his superiors and would turn off the phone or the video, whatever, and proceed to hang out with his girl. But because he was so good at saving the day, I guess they always just brought him back. So maybe they're going for that same like James Bond in space kind of thing.
Yeah, I got one more fail for you for this movie. Something that was kind of weird. You remember when he's running through and he's going to the alternate reality, and you've got the I guess you want to call it the Jabba the Hutt lookalike character.
Yeah.
That was in this movie that sicked the dog on him.
Right.
He said, "I will find you, right, and I will get you. I will kill you," is what he said. After that scene stops, you never see that character again.
Right.
So,
but the same can be said about Star Wars. There's a couple of times where they make very ominous threats, and you don't see that character until the next movie.
But you see the next movie.
Right.
So
this movie is set up for a sequel, but there might not be a sequel.
What if there's no sequel? So if there's no sequel, then that's just a hanging character.
Right.
The's no point. I was waiting for that character to make an appearance later on in the movie.
Right. If there is a sequel, though, we're not going to see it in the trailer, but sometime in the movie, there'll be like the Dark Horse guy, popping up to foil the hero at a precise moment, and he'll ruin plans and probably be the reason why something goes awry. Right. I agree with you, but I think that if there is a second movie, which I don't think there's going to be, but if there is, that won't be a cinema sin versus a good setup.
Well, they put the guy. That's true. They put the guy on the cover art, that character on the cover art. So I mean, it's just a little bit disappointing. But I also would like a little more description of this alternate universe, this alternate reality.
Love the alternate. I love the big market. It's so good.
Right. Big market was fantastic. The fact that there's a different. What are those characters doing? Where are they at? How is that? I love the converter, or the whole idea of you can bring stuff back through this, piece of tech.
I gotta say, I don't think it's an alternate dimension or that. I think it's a VR thing. I think it's another setup, bro. It's this VR thing, and they're just like teleporting the objects when they come through.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's hard for me to say it's. The alternate dimension thing is bad. Maybe like a dimension that's out of phase makes a little more sense to me.
Okay.
I don't think they purposely left that sort of open, I think, because imagine what you can do. Like VR is becoming extremely popular right now. Imagine a whole VR thing where it's an advertising for the next movie, and you can put your phone on your face and walk around big market. Like that would be.
Yeah, that would be cool. But did you notice there's a mistake, at least a seeming mistake. There were two of the Mew characters, the Mew people, whatever you call them. What are those people? They're called pearls, right? They were called pearls.
Whatever. The aliens.
The blue aliens. Well, they were in Big Market. They were in Big Market.
Well, yeah, they went through the matter thing.
So they weren't there glowing.
No,
they were in it.
They went through the matter because they were behind him. Remember, they were behind him when he was looking on the computer as to where to go.
Okay.
So it's insinuated that they were there in the real world or our world, and then they were there in the other world.
I see.
So they must have gone through that matter thing in order to get to both places.
Little bit of a miss, but I got it. Okay. Yeah, I guess because the dog thing came through.
It came through the matter converter, right?
The matter converter. So okay.
And whatever it's called, I don't know what it's called.
My bad, dog. My bad.
That dog thing was terrifying. And I thought, they purposely made it show that he had a piece of her dress on his claw. So I thought that would come back in that movie, but maybe in the second movie that's how they track him down with the DNA or something,
Maybe. Yeah, they gotta. I mean, this movie just begs for another one.
It just begs
for another one. Yeah.
I want to see another movie. I just don't feel like we're going to get it, man. It sucks.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I wish.
There were 14 people in my theater. I counted them. I was like, 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's 14 people. That's not good.
That's how many you had?
14 people in the entire theater. Yep.
Ooh.
And it wasn't even in like the XD theater. It wasn't in like the prime spots. They had it playing in like the off theaters, as if the movie's been out for 2 weeks already.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I had a 5 o'clock and an 8 o'clock. It was in 3D. We had a decent amount of people in, and I will say the people who came at the end of it, a lot of people cheered when the movie was over. There was a large group of people who cheered. So
all 14 people in my theater were happy.
Yeah, all 14 people were like, yeah, I've been waiting for this my entire life. There's
no young people. Maybe it was too early or something for me. I went to the 5 o'clock. It just bums me out.
I mean, 5 o'clock's a tough time. There's not a lot out. There's nothing really talking about if there's going to be another movie. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully there'll be a cult following. Hopefully it'll get some sort of a resurgence.
Yeah, Fifth Element got like an animated show. Stargate eventually had a TV show.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, you're talking about Bruce Willis in The Fifth Element, and you're talking about Dean DeHaan in this one. So I don't know.
Yeah, and then with Stargate, you're talking about Kurt Russell and James Spader, and they didn't make a second one of those. So
that's true.
You had big names in both these movies, and they never made sequels. And Fifth Element was a cult classic that actually did well in its box office, did pretty good, but it didn't make the money back that they wanted to make because the movie cost so much to make. It was too risky of a film for them to make a sequel to, and the director didn't want to. That's the problem. I just don't know if this is going to get a sequel, man. I mean, if they were smart, they would give it a sequel. They would take the risk, and they would advertise differently. If they were smart, they would be setting up. They set up the advertising for the youngins, and they set up the advertising for the adults, and show that it has legs. And then they become an actual pop culture icon, the way Star Wars is.
Yeah, that's how it was. Because Star Wars started out slow.
Right. Yeah, it did.
A little bit. You have to. It's an acquired taste. You need to sit down and watch this movie. I will watch this movie again, just to go through the visual experience.
Absolutely.
Just to be taken through the tech.
Yeah.
That's given. There's the tech. They even take a moment to explain how the space station is set up with the different, so people with who needs water and air and all the different things. I mean, there's so much more to do here.
So good.
It would be great. I don't know if they could even pull off a TV show, but that would be cool if they would pull off.
It cost too much money,
a TV
right?
show or something like that. So, but that's all I really have. It's visually stunning. It's a beautiful made movie.
Story's good.
Luc Besson, congratulations! You really made a beautiful movie.
Yep. So I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's not getting 5 for me because the third act is a little rough. Mainly because the third act's a little rough, and the main character, which I like him as an actor, but he's not right for this role. And unfortunately, if we do get a sequel, which I can deal with it just to get a sequel. I mean, he'll obviously be the lead in the sequel too, right? So, but right. And the actress, I never liked her before. I now can't wait to see her in more movies. She was fantastic. I got a little bit of crush on her because she was such a good actress. She not only pulled everything off the right way, there was no cringe elements. A lot of the times, with the supporting cast, there's like a little bit of a cringe.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to outplay the main actor, and I didn't get that here. It was really good.
She had a very Christina Ricci feel to her.
Right, but talented. Right.
But yeah. Well, yeah, I'll tell you, I'm going to give it actually 4.5 stars. And the reason I'm giving it 4.5 stars is because I feel like this is a breakthrough movie. I think that that the way the movie was shot and the visual, I keep saying visual display, but it's really more than that. The depth of the creation of this movie, the coordination of CGI with actual acting, was so impressive, and you really couldn't see, you couldn't see the lines in this movie. I just think that there should be some credit leaning forward. I mean, granted, the main lead actor was bad. The third act was bad choices. But the movie has to get I wouldn't say Matrix level respect, because Matrix was groundbreaking, but it definitely needs to get groundbreaking respect in some fashion. So I'm giving it 4.5 stars.
I totally agree. In fact, in hindsight, that scene where she's playing with the butterflies, that's so unique.
Right?
It's so unique that they're fishing for humans. That is so unique, man. Like, you don't see that kind of stuff. Like, a lot of the times sci-fi borrow a lot from each other, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the taser thing, and there were some borrow elements from the sci-fi here, but some of the stuff I'd never even considered before as sci-fi. It's so good.
They shot that alien, and then the guy was able to VR control him.
Yeah.
I mean, that was cool.
That was different. Unique. That's so unique to me. And like that's
what sci-fi is all about.
Yes, I agree. And the big giant creatures, you don't know why they're in the middle of the space station, but they're there in the water. They obviously serve a purpose, right? Because they're like the jellyfish hang out on top of them because they're the ones that take in the dirty water and pop out the clean water, and they need it. They in trying to explain why they needed the jellyfish, they actually explained why these giant creatures exist. Like, their purpose was like to clean the water and the oxygen, right? Like, that's why those big giant things exist in this huge water tank. They're there to clean clean everything. They're like giant cleaners.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's what sci-fi is all about. So there were so many different things. We need to go back and watch it again, get a feel for, and try to pick up the small things that we might have missed that we could really appreciate from the movie. And it's worth a second view. I'm going to go back and see it again.
All right, me too. Okay, boys and girls, we'll be back on Wednesday for the AGT Judge Cuts 2 episode.
Nice.
If you did not see our Judge Cuts 1, please go back, watch yesterday's show. If you're interested in America's Got Talent. We also would like to have more to talk about. We're going to be getting into Game of Thrones here pretty soon. We're going to be getting back into our CW shows. But if there's something else that you would like us to cover, review, recap, binge out on, we're always looking for something good. Let us know. We even talked about doing some Walking Dead stuff. Let us know in the comments. Give us some feedback. Tell us what you want so we can be accommodating. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to this video. Hit that alert button for the alerts. And tell a friend and comment below. That's it for me.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. And make sure you stay tuned for the next show.
Okay. You can find us at youtube.com/mixtees, facebook.com/mixtees, twitter.com/mixtees, and of course, mixtees.com. We'll see you next week.